What is going on, everybody? It's Skills here, and in today's video we are going to be showcasing, well, not showcasing, I'll be breaking down the aces in 8 builds. I think a lot of people don't even run in groups. I know we see it a lot in raid, but I don't really see it too often when I'm just running in random groups when I matchmake. And this build not only helps out yourself because you hit a lot and you hit hard, it actually helps out your teammate. And if you run this in a group, your whole team benefits from it, and everybody's just going to hit that much harder, have that much more survivability, and just have more sustained DPS because of the 3 different ways this can roll as you're proccing one of the 3 talents that you can get from getting the headshots and flipping the cards. But we'll talk about it in just a second and how it all works and how you should have this build set up. Don't forget, if you're new to this channel, don't forget the little thumbs up. If you have any questions, use the comment section down below. But hopefully you guys are ready because we're breaking it down right now. So the build is running 17-2-1. Ideally, I would like to be 18-2-0. And I'll explain to you exactly where you need to put all the reds and the blues. So we're running 212k armor, 27,000 health, and about 136 skill power for both of my skills. Now, one thing with aces and 8s, you do have to run the sharpshooter specialization or it will not trigger the cards, right? So make sure you do have the sharpshooter specialization, and most likely you're going to run it either way. Now we're going to get into the weapons itself. I am running a surplus SVD. Base damage on this one is almost 92,000, 260 RPM, a 12 round mag because I do have lucky shot. Now the base damage on this one is around 49,000. So in case you guys wanted to see what the base damage on this SVD was before the bonuses to my gear. So lucky shot gives me a 20% increased magazine, so I get 2 extra shots. Now what's crazy about this is any missed shot from cover has a 100% chance to return to the magazine. So it's like always having a free shot if you miss. And then we have distance on here, so we got 15% optimal range, and the protected deploy while equipped. This weapon grants 10% bonus armor while deploying a skill. So it's definitely pretty something that you'll probably might use here and there. Protected reload might be a little better, doesn't really matter. Lucky shot is the one talent you really want to get on here. Now let's break down how we have this bad boy modded. Now depending on the roll on the weapon, depending on how you can control this weapon, having stability might be something you guys need to do. So the scope is going to be 5% damage to elites, and that's gonna give me that extra power to knock down those elite enemies. The magazine, 20% stability, and that's to help me control this bad boy. But if you do have the extra round one, that might be better. I don't have it because this is a new account. So we do have an angle grip that gives me 10% stability, and then another 5% damage to elites on the muzzle. Like I said, on the magazine itself, I don't have the extra round one because this is a new account that I'm testing stuff out on, and I've been farming just to see how fast I can build builds and get them together and see what like the RNG rate is right now and stuff. But so far I was able to put this together pretty quick. A nice build you can farm together, throw together. But this is how I have it modded, and I personally kind of like the extra stability on the SVD because it helps control it, especially on the console side. Now for my secondary, you can run 2 weapons. I personally, if I could get the Nemesis, I would do that for the extra 15% headshot damage while holstered. But the Merciless works good too because while holstered, you get that 5% chance to deal 100% explosive damage, and then that's gonna proc spark on my backpack. So yeah, either way you go. Another good thing about using the Merciless is when you do see the robotic dogs come out, if you use it against it, it will eat through that armor on the robotic dogs and it drops them pretty quick. So either way you go, you won't go wrong. For the pistol, I do like running the sharpshooter pistol that you get for unlocking it on the sharpshooter because it does have overlap. While holster, you gain 5% weapon handling, which technically is accuracy and stability. And so you're getting more control over your weapon, that SVD, which is a little bit hard to control at the end of the day. So we are running a 4-piece aces and then a 2-piece heraldry. For the mask, we have the first piece of aces, which gives us a 10% marksman rifle damage. Now I'm going to show you what the 3-piece and 4-piece does. So the 3-piece on here flips the card by shooting an enemy with your marksman rifle. Headshots flip 2. Full House increases your magazine size by 100% for 10 seconds. 4 of a Kind grants 30% bonus armor for 10 seconds. Aces and 8s grants the next 5 bullets 100% bonus armor. That's why when you run this in a group, giving your teammate a bigger magazine size, if they're using an AR that has 50 rounds, they just have 100 rounds now. 4 of a kind gives them that 30% bonus armor. If they're stacking armor, it just helps them become that much stronger. And then aces and 8s just makes them hit that much harder. 5 bullets at 100% bonus armor. Now, the 4-piece is what allows your teammates to get it. So if I was only running this by myself, I would have a 3-piece. A 4-piece helps me out with my teammates. So if the effects of Dead Man's Hand are applied to all your party and raid members. Now, the rolls on here, we have 5.5 critical hit chance. We have 51% damage to elites. And then we do have an offensive mod on here. Of course, the offensive mod is going to give me marksman rifle damage and weapon damage. So I get an extra 5.5% damage right there. So yeah, this is how I would run this build if I'm running this build in PvE. Now, if we get into the chest piece, we're running the Araldi chest piece. Now, this gives me 10% accuracy, and since we're running a 2-piece, 10% headshot damage. Now, the best place to get a lot of damage is that headshot damage and weapon damage. So if you can get high weapon damage on here, high headshot damage, that ideally is going to be the best rolls for this chest. Now, this is the best chest I have on this account. I have one that's a little bit higher on my main account, but this chest right here is exactly how I would roll it. Headshot damage, weapon damage, and then perfect vigilance. You're going to gain that 30% weapon damage. This taking damage disables this bust for 4 seconds, but a lot of times you're in the back, right? Because you have less armor, but you hit really hard and your teammates are pushing forward, but you're hitting those shots. Well, perfect vigilance should always be active. You do get an offensive mod on here for marksman rifle and weapon damage, and then you get 1 defensive mod slot. So we're going to put armor, total armor, and explosive resistance. Now remember, if you don't have the perfect vigilance, you can just use regular vigilance. So we get into the second piece of aces, and this is going to be the holster. So we put crit chance on here for that 15% crit chance, 9% crit hit damage. We have the offensive system the offensive system mod for 3% marksman rifle damage, 1.5% weapon damage. We have another one with 4% marksman rifle, 1% weapon damage. Now we get into our third piece. It's going to be the knee pads. The knee pads, we're going to roll critical hit chance on here again. We have an offensive mod with marksman rifle damage, weapon damage, and then another system mending defensive mod, armor, total armor, and explosive resistance. Now for the gloves are where some people switch this out. Sometimes people run the aces on the backpack. I like running aces on the gloves. The gloves are going to give me marksman rifle damage. I am missing critical hit chance here. I would love to get like 5% critical hit chance on here, increase the critical hit chance on my build, and then it comes with the offensive mod. So we're going to get more marksman rifle damage and more weapon damage. Now, some people, like I said, do like running a special talent that goes on the gloves, something that will help you hit a little bit harder. But I feel that the backpack, I can get just a little bit more damage overall. So I do like running an Araldi backpack. And then on this backpack, I have weapon damage, I have critical hit chance, then I have hard hitting because I get 25% damage to elites. I get spark, damaging enemies with skills or explosives. It grants 15% weapon damage for 15 seconds. So I'm getting a lot of extra damage with these 2 talents versus just being able to have 1 talent on the gloves. And then of course we have a utility mod slot, which this is right where I would improve the build. So you can get the same backpack with the offensive mod slot. So if I could get the same talents, offensive mod slot, add more weapon damage, add more marksman rifle damage, ideally that's what I want. I do not need this utility, but since I have it here, I put one that had reload speed, explosive damage, skill power. Not really gonna help me out, but hey, that's what I'm messing with right now. So if you can get this with 1 offensive right there, that would be better. So you want the 4-piece with the 2-piece, and this is how this build is ran. So we're gonna dive right into the skill. I do like running the striker drone. The reason why I do like running the striker drone is because of the fact that the striker drone is going to help me proc spark in case for some reason my merciless doesn't go off when I'm shooting my SVD. We're going to dive into the stats just so you guys can take a quick look of how this stacks up with critical hit chance, weapon damage, everything. So on the weapon itself, we have 41% critical hit chance, 34% critical hit damage, 183% headshot damage. Now remember, that can improve by 15% if I had the Nemesis, right? But having this much critical hit chance, having this much critical hit damage, having this much headshot damage, I'm already going to hit really hard. And now we're going to dive into my all weapon damage is at 28%. My marksman rifle damage is at 59%, which can improve. But where I'm getting way more damage is 86% damage to elites. So that 86% damage to elites, along with the critical hit chance, critical hit damage, and headshot damage, is how you can like 1 to 2 shot enemies. And then not only that, like since I'm hitting so hard, I'm dropping enemies, but I'm also providing a really good buff for my teammates by running this build. And that's why I think this is probably one of the best support role DPS players, right? Because you're really a support role, you want to stay back, but you're putting out a lot of offensive, right? But you're providing that extra 30% armor anytime you make that proc, that extra 100% magazine, and then 100% the next 5 bullets with aces and 8s. Just a lot. Now for the second skill, it's really up to you. If I'm playing like just PvE and not farming the DZ, well then what I will use is the Reviver Hive. If I'm in the DZ, I run the Booster Hive. But this build works in the DZ as when you're farming, not against other players. I wouldn't recommend it. It works in heroic missions. It works in the raid. You can run the same exact build right here. Let me know if you have any questions. I appreciate all the support, guys, but we're going to wrap it up here. Thank you guys again. Until the next one, nothing but skills out.